The chandeliers sparkled above, scattering golden light across the ballroom. Guests in elegant suits and glittering dresses danced to the music, laughter spilling into every corner of the hall. Champagne glasses clinked, camera flashes went off, and the bride and groom basked in the glow of their special day. But at the far end of the room, just slightly tucked into the shadows, sat Clara Bennett. Clara wasn't just another guest. She was one of the most successful CEO in the city, known for building her company from scratch. In boardrooms and headlines, she was powerful, confident, and respected. But tonight, at this wedding, her role was different. She wasn't a CEO. She wasn't the woman who had made Forbes' list. She was just a guest, in a wheelchair. Her long silver gown shimmered beautifully, her makeup flawless, her smile polite. But behind that smile was a quiet ache. Everyone else seemed so alive, dancing, spinning, and clapping in rhythm with the band. Clara loved weddings, but she hadn't danced at one since her accident 3 years ago. The car crash had taken away her mobility, and with it, the part of her that once believed in carefree moments. As couples swayed on the dance floor, Clara's hands tightened around the armrest of her chair. She whispered to herself, "Just keep smiling, don't let anyone see." But inside, she felt invisible. On the other side of the hall, a man named Daniel Harper was watching. He was tall, kind, dyed, and dressed in a simple but well-fitted suit. He wasn't mingling much either. Most of his attention was on his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, who was sitting on his lap, swinging her feet to the music. Lily was the kind of child who noticed what others overlooked. As she glanced around, her gaze landed on Clara. She tilted her head, tugging gently on her dad's sleeve. "Daddy," she whispered, "why is that pretty lady sitting all alone?" Daniel followed her eyes and saw Clara, beautiful, elegant, yet apart from the celebration. He studied her expression and noticed something no one else seemed to see, a loneliness hidden beneath her practiced smile. Sometimes, Daniel said softly to his daughter, people sit alone because no one thinks to ask them to join. Lily blinked, then looked up at him with an innocence that cut right through excuses. "Then you should ask her, Daddy." Daniel chuckled nervously. He wasn't the type to step into the spotlight, but something about Clara's quiet presence pulled at him. He set Lily down, stood up, and walked across the room. Clara glanced up, startled when she saw him stop in front of her. His voice was warm, not pitying, as he bent slightly and asked, "May I have this dance?" For a moment, Clara froze. Surely he wasn't serious. She gave a short laugh, motioning toward her wheelchair. "I don't think that's possible," she said, her tone guarded. Daniel's smile didn't falter. "Then let's dance the way you can." Before Clara could protest further, Daniel gently pushed her chair forward, aligning it with the music. The band was playing a soft, steady rhythm. He moved in sync with it, guiding her wheelchair as though it was part of the dance. At first, Clara's eyes widened with surprise, unsure of how to respond. But then, as Daniel spun her gently to the left, something remarkable happened. Her heart lifted. She wasn't watching from the sidelines anymore. She was in the middle of the floor. The movement was graceful, almost artistic. Daniel leaned slightly, stepping with rhythm, creating a flow between his body and the motion of her chair. Beside them, Lily darted onto the floor, twirling in her little dress, her laughter ringing like music itself. Slowly, people began to notice. Couples paused mid-dance, turning to watch the unlikely trio. The DJ, sensing the shift, softened the beat into a romantic melody that filled the hall. Clara's cheeks flushed, not from embarrassment, but from something she hadn't felt in years, joy. She lifted her hands, clapping to the rhythm, letting herself laugh when Daniel made a playful spin with her chair. The crowd formed a loose circle around them, smiling, some even tearing up at the sight. What had begun as a simple act of kindness was turning into the most beautiful moment of the evening. For the first time in years, Clara felt alive again. As the music faded, Daniel stopped in front of her, slightly out of breath but smiling. Clara's eyes glistened, and her voice trembled as she whispered, "I haven't danced since the accident, I thought. I thought I never would again." Daniel knelt down so he was eye level with her. His voice was low but full of sincerity. "Dancing isn't about steps," he said gently. "It's about feeling alive, and tonight you reminded everyone here what joy really looks like." Clara's throat tightened. She had spent years building walls, convincing herself she didn't need moments like these, convincing herself that people only saw the wheelchair. Yet, here was this man, treating her not as someone broken, but as someone whole. The applause erupted around them. Guests clapped, some wiping their eyes, others cheering. The bride herself rushed over, hugging Clara and whispering, "That was the most beautiful dance I've ever seen." Clara laughed through her tears, overwhelmed. Later that evening, as the party slowed and guests began to leave, Clara sat with Daniel and Lily at one of the tables. Lily leaned her head sleepily against Clara's arm, already comfortable with her. "Thank you," Clara said softly, turning to Daniel. "You gave me something back tonight, a piece of me I thought was gone forever." Daniel shook his head. "No, Clara, you gave us something. You reminded us that joy doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from sharing moments, even imperfect ones." Clara smiled, her heart lighter than it had been in years. For once, she didn't feel like the CEO who had to prove herself. She didn't feel like the woman defined by a wheelchair. She simply felt human. Connected, free, as Daniel stood to carry Lily, he gave Clara a small, hopeful smile. "Maybe we'll dance again someday." Clara's answering smile was brighter than the chandeliers above. "I'd like that." The camera pulls back, showing the now quiet hall. The echoes of laughter and music still linger in the air, but the most unforgettable moment wasn't the bride's first dance, it was Clara's. Because in one act of courage, one act of kindness, she had been given something priceless. The reminder that life, no matter how broken it seems, can still be beautiful. Clara came to the wedding expecting just another night of polite smiles and silent loneliness. But one simple question, "May I have this dance?" changed everything. In that moment, a single dad and his little girl reminded her that joy doesn't require perfect circumstances, and love isn't limited by what life has taken away. Her wheelchair didn't define her, her heart did, and through one act of kindness, Clara rediscovered the beauty of being seen, included, and celebrated for who she truly was. The story reminds us all, sometimes it takes just one person's courage to reach out, to bring back hope to a soul that thought it was lost forever.